Welcome to episode 32 of the Kiss Army Things podcast. My name is Xander.
My name's Jeb.
The real episode 32, that is.
Real episode.
For some reason, last episode, even though it was episode 31, I said it was episode 32, mistakenly, so...
Once you get up there in the 30s, it starts to get blurry, you know.
Yeah, at a certain point, it's just like, it's episode whatever.
I'm just going by what you say. I just show up and talk.
Well, I was going by what I say, too. I know what I said was wrong. But no, this is the actual episode 32 of the Kiss Army Things podcast, and I see that you're drinking coffee instead of the usual money bag today. You got a little pep in your step?
Well... This is my third cup of coffee today. It's the weather here in Indiana has been really rainy and dark and dreary, so I'm feeling tired.
It has been.
I need to pick me up.
I guess it could have been a Kiss coffee mug, but this one's actually our cat.
Featuring Xander's beautiful cat, Eddie, there. I don't know if you can see that, but...
Yeah, I don't know if it shows up on camera or not, but anyway. So thank you all for joining us on episode 32 of the Kiss Army Things podcast. We're really glad that you want to sit here and join us in celebrating Kiss, the hottest band in the world. We have a few topics we want to get to. First, though, Jeb, I gotta ask what you've been jamming to, man. What you've been rocking?
Well, this week's Spotlight, I was actually going back and forth between two. Because I got hooked on one album, and then I got hooked on another album. I was like, okay, now I'm conflicted. Which one do I pick for the Spotlight? Mm-hmm. So I'll save one of them for next week. This week is Hotter Than Hell.
Really?
Oh. Hotter Than Hell, 1974.
That's a good one.
Somewhat of an underrated album. Not a lot of people, I think, give that album its due. Because, of course, the first album, you have so many classic songs. They're playing so many of them in the set list. Dressed to Kill and Alive, they got Rock and Roll All Night. That's pretty big. But apart from, Let Me Go Rock and Roll being put in, the newer set list, doesn't really get a whole lot of praise. And despite its sound quality, which is pretty bad, the songs themselves are just fantastic. You don't
really are.
Any songs on Hotter Than Hell. I think Ace has some of his best lead work in all of his career on that album. Let Me Go Rock and Roll. I think Let Me Go Rock and Roll and Going Blind. Mm-hmm. Going Blind is one of the greatest guitar solos in history.
Really?
Absolutely.
I'll have to go back and check it out.
Oh my gosh.
I can't even picture what that solo is right now. So
really?
I can't hear what that solo is, so I'll have to go back and...
It's a beautiful melodic guitar solo. It sounds like he was, and this is weird for Ace, it sounds like he was using some sort of effect. Now, Kiss is they're not known for using any effects pedals.
Right.
Studio or live. They're just, guitar into Marshall, and that's it. But on that song, it sounds like there's like a reverb delay effect, which is really weird for Ace, really weird for Kiss. But the way that song, it's sort of a David Gilmour, Pink Floyd.
Going Blind?
Solo. Yes.
Wow, for sure.
It also sounds like it might have like some kind of phase shifter or like flanger on it. I could be wrong.
It's going to be funny when I go back and listen to it. I'm like, oh yeah, because of course now I just can't.
What can you imagine on Unplugged when it doesn't sound the same? Bruce played it. Well, that song was incredible for many reasons. There's one of Gene's greatest bass lines.
Oh yeah, and vocals, good vocals too.
Yes, especially since we mentioned Unplugged, but that's such a phenomenal song. But Hotter Than Hell, I think it had if they had better sound quality, the production quality, I think it would be just as good as the first album. But I've been listening to Hotter Than Hell quite a bit lately, so that's my Spotlight. That's
awesome, and it's funny because you mentioned the solo on Going Blind being really awesome and stand out. One solo that I think is very underrated on Hotter Than Hell by Ace is Strange Ways.
Oh my gosh, yes.
See, that's one that I feel like also has some kind of effects on it too.
That's what I was thinking of.
That's okay.
I think it's some kind of phase shifter or a flanger, which if you're a guitar player, that might be familiar to you.
I'm not. So
which it's strange. On the first album, no effects.
Right.
Dressed to Kill, no effects. Alive, no, just guitar, amplifier.
Bare bone, yeah.
Destroyer, there wasn't even really any guitar effects, apart from what Ezra did with the production, but it seems like on Hotter Than Hell, they may have gotten slightly, and there's no information on this that I'm aware of, because it was only their second record, and, I would really love to know what Ace or the band was thinking, or even the producers, Richie and, Kenny were thinking of trying to make Ace kind of branch out and experiment with some effects. And they're kind of subtle. It's not like really in your face, but Going Blind and that solo both use some sort of effects.
And no, you're right. Hotter Than Hell is a fantastic album. It is very underrated. I think two of my absolute favorite Kiss songs are Watching You and Parasite.
Absolutely.
For the riffs on those two.
The riffs and the drums.
They go hard.
Yes.
Now, I do think that both of those songs are played much better either on Kiss Alive or by the Revenge lineup or the
Yes.
current lineup.
Sure.
For some reason, those studio record versions of those songs don't quite. But that's again, I'm just used to
Well, it's
hearing
like the
the
first
Revenge
album.
version. Yeah, I'm just used to hearing the live versions. But no, like those songs you mentioned, "Let Me Go Rock and Roll,"
Fantastic.
even the title track, "Hotter Than Hell,"
I love
is
it.
absolutely fantastic. When Daphne and I were at the sound check in Dayton, they actually included "Hotter Than Hell" in the sound check set list, and of course that's one that they don't really play live.
No.
I think the last time we heard "Hotter Than Hell" live was actually about 10 years ago when they were doing the tour.
Sure.
I think, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was on
Very
that set
strange.
list. But that song is absolutely fantastic. And when we heard it during the sound check, I mean, it was just, I don't know, it was just a moment. I mean, it sounded good,
that
too.
song, the title track, captures what was so great about the early Kiss, which is that groove. It's got such a killer and
It's that lead.
original guitar groove.
Yeah.
With the drums, it was really simple, but it's got groove in the 70s era, especially in the beginning of the 70s. That song captures it perfectly.
And the thing we keep talking about right now is, Ace's contribution as far as his lead work. And
Yeah.
"Hotter Than Hell," that song, I think, is a perfect example of that.
Yes.
Because if you remember when Gene and Paul kind of talk about Kiss in the early days, or even before Kiss,
Yeah.
just them and Peter, the three, Paul
didn't
says,
come alive.
when it comes time for solos and for leads, I'm just swinging my arms playing chords.
Yes.
And so you listen to "Hotter Than Hell," where you hear just you hear Gene,
Right.
Paul, and
Each
Peter.
member is featured.
But then Ace comes out on that lead
with a signature lead.
in the background. Dun dun dun. You hear every piece of the
Right.
band coming together on that song.
That's the magic of the
And
original four.
I
As some might
wish,
say.
and I think that song again. Maybe it was the fact that the album's quality wasn't that great. I don't know what it was, but I think that song should have been a much bigger hit than it was.
I think so.
I've said the same thing about songs on "Dress to Kill," like "Come On and Love Me."
That is a perfect song.
Why that song isn't on modern radio being played
Oh, yeah.
just as much as some Journey song? I don't know. Like, it should be being
Sounds
played
fresh.
on the radio. It's such a great song.
It's well produced.
"Hotter Than Hell" is a great song. So
Yeah.
great spotlight.
Cool.
Great spotlight.
And for you?
For me, I'm actually going to be spotlighting the Revenge.
Yes.
And the main reason why is because I just got this in.
Uh-huh.
The Revenge 30th Anniversary Chrome Edition LP.
Right.
And so and I also decided to wear my Revenge shirt
Sure.
just because, just to kind of match. This, I think, is the only vintage shirt I actually wear.
Yeah.
I have a few, but this is the only one that I actually seem to just wear. I probably shouldn't, because if it gets stained or something, that'd be really bad.
I
But
could buy another
anyway,
one for $60 on eBay.
but if anybody, probably, yeah, you're right. But if anybody's been watching this podcast for a long time, then you know that Jev and I's number one favorite Kiss album
It's Revenge.
is Revenge.
Yep.
Musically, the heavy sound. I mean,
Even the image. I mean, it's
oh well, yeah. I mean, and I'm looking at this, this 30th anniversary edition, and the thing that stands out to me is the fact that it's like a hollow foil or a hollow, imagery.
Yes,
where it's
holographic.
very reflective in the light, and of course the original wasn't like that. And even the back cover
sort
too,
of
with
metallic
just
in a way.
very metallic. Yeah, but you look at that background, the back image.
Gorgeous.
It's awesome. So
Now, I didn't know it was like that. Now, I just came over.
No, neither did I.
I haven't seen. I knew it was a colored vinyl, and it's been on pre-order for a while, and Xander recently just got it. However, what made me want to buy it was the shiny metallic cover, and now I just checked the website and they're sold out. So I hope everyone who got their Revenge
That could be way too
copies. I hope they're happy that they chose to get it, because I slept on it and I didn't get it.
No, it's sold out.
So,
But
it's sold out now.
here's the actual LP itself. So there's kind of the chrome design. It's more of like just a kind of a flat gray, but
Wow.
still very cool. And of course, as soon as I got it, I had to listen to it, and I've actually just been listening to it and listening to it and listening to it and just flipping it over, playing it, not even worrying about changing it out, because that album is so good.
Is that one's not remastered, is it? It's just the same. Like, they haven't really done a proper remaster for Revenge yet, have they?
No, that one was not listed as a remaster.
Okay. They're
Although-
still yet to do anything with that.
Although I do agree, because
It is a
one of the
remaster.
things in August that we were celebrating on the Instagram page was the 10th anniversary since the release of The Destroyer Resurrected,
Yeah.
and that got me thinking, because that to me is my go-to version of Destroyer,
Same.
even above the box set, even above the first remaster, above the
Okay.
original. You know, I go right to the resurrected version just because I love and I really appreciate and respect what Ezrin did with that.
Sure.
That was definitely, you know, a labor of love and something that, you know, he felt really.
Didn't have to do that.
No, Kiss didn't have to do it. He didn't have to do it, and so to see that was really, really cool. And Bob Ezrin is an amazing producer, and what I would love to see is that same thing done with both The Elder and Revenge.
And Revenge, yes.
If he could just get a hold of those master, you know, original tapes, original tracks,
Yeah.
and sort of from the ground up remix and rebuild these albums with what he did with Destroyer was fantastic. And so even though I think Revenge is Kiss's one of Kiss's best musical albums, my personal favorite. Those two are not mutually exclusive.
True.
But so Revenge, even though it's my favorite Kiss album, it's not without its, I don't want to say faults, but without, you know, room for improvement.
Sure.
And to me, I wish the album was
It could use an
louder.
upgrade.
I want it to be louder.
That's my main complaint. I have an original copy on vinyl, the first pressing from the UK. And even then, it's because I used to, for some reason, I used to think it was just the CD or like any MP3 files, because the album, it sounds like it should be louder than it is.
Right.
You listen to Unholy and it comes in, but the guitar, it was mixed really quiet.
Well,
Which is sometimes good.
Well, it's mixed very balanced. It's very, very balanced,
Yes.
but I almost don't want that. I want Creatures of the Night, where
Creatures
it's
of
just
the Night,
blown out, you know.
Bombastic. It's more dynamic range.
Speaker filling. You know, I don't think that Revenge...
It's more flat.
Yeah, it's a little bit flat. So I think that, you know,
dynamic.
whenever I crank that album up, I find myself continuously cranking
Me
it
too.
to hear it louder until it can't go
But I
any
thought
louder.
it was just me.
No. It's me
Revenge
too.
is just a quiet record.
And when you look at some of the music that we like a little bit outside of Kiss, you know, we do get into those heavier territories, and so I think that's where we're coming from, where we want Revenge to be like that too.
Because when you hear Unholy, you want to feel it. You
Oh,
want to
yeah.
feel every bit of that in your bones.
And you can, but naturally,
You gotta turn it up.
But metalheads are just notorious for just cranking it up, and maybe it's our hearing. Maybe our hearing over the years has just, you know, so we keep wanting to turn it up to compensate for that.
Perhaps.
But either way, if that's the case, we need another one that compensates for that. So
It
I
does
would
sound
love
good,
to see,
though. I think a part of why it sounds so good when you turn it up is because it's so quiet.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't distort.
No.
Because if you have an album that's already loud, like if you crank Creatures like you did Revenge, it'll sound distorted.
It'll clip, if you will, or it'll
So-
start to blow out.
I feel like, you know, if they do a remaster or even like a Resurrected, which I would adore, I'm hoping they do a box set. I'm dying for
A Revenge box set,
anything Revenge I'll be into, but I would hope to increase the levels a bit more, maybe get some more dynamic range. Ezra, if you're listening, take notes.
Yeah, hopefully somebody can make that happen,
this
because
nobody.
that's one of the things that I think, you know, fans would love to have. And of course, you know, I doubt we'll see something like that happen anytime soon, because this was the 30th anniversary celebration. You know, with,
If we were going to get anything,
it would have been now.
there or until way in the future, because who knows?
Yeah, it's like, if it happens, it's going to be way in the future, because they've already done this 30th
5
anniversary.
years at the least.
Yeah, because if
You know.
well, it might be 10, because if this is the 30th, they're going to wait till the 40th anniversary to do the, you know, something like that.
Kiss, if you're listening, you don't have to wait. You could do a 31st anniversary, which would make no sense. I would buy more than one.
Which would make no sense. And people would still buy
at least
it.
remaster it. That album deserves,
Yeah.
you know, the attention.
And I know people don't think, oh, well, it came out in the 90s. It came out, you know, in that era. It's like, no, that's still 30 years. That's still 30 years.
They've remastered albums from the late 90s, you know, mid 90s from other bands.
Yeah.
It's not just Kiss.
No.
Of course, it sounds good, but it's 2022. Sound quality has come quite a ways from, you know, that point.
So this is slightly a little bit off Kiss, but
Okay.
this just came to me. So it's 2022. Revenge came out in 92. It's the 30th anniversary. Do you know what other album is celebrating its 30th anniversary? This just came to
Jackal?
me. Jackal's
debut.
debut also came out in 92.
That's so random.
And that album is one of my favorite albums of all time as well.
It's strange that we have a connection to that album. So there's a reason why I guessed it, because there's a lot of other albums that came out in 92, but that one I guessed because we have a connection
that's
to
our,
the
that's
Jackal
one of,
record.
it's one of our albums.
Yes.
But
strange
yeah,
how
no.
those came out the same year. Two totally killer front-to-back albums. Amazing.
Imagine if Jackal had opened for Kiss on the Revenge tour. I mean, that
would have
would have been a weird package, but for the Midwest, that would have been pretty dope.
That would have fit pretty well with that tour.
Yeah,
Revenge
they
Tour.
were both very like, you know,
Kinda
Kiss was in their
edgy.
angsty phase, and Jackal was definitely with their chainsaws and whatever being.
It was a little more rural, but
Well, and hey, and of course we're in
could've toured
Indiana,
the
so I would
Midwest.
love that.
that would have.
I would love that. Anyways, I thought I mentioned that.
Oh,
'cause that
speaking
that
of
just came to
Jackal,
me. What's up?
Speaking of Jackal, we saw back in 2010. We saw Slaughter. There's a Kiss tie there opening up for Jackal.
That was cool.
So we
yeah.
got to see
At
both
the
of them.
Kentucky State Fair.
Kentucky State Fair 2010.
And
saw-
our dad didn't tell us until we were on our way.
Yeah, it was frustrating.
He was like, "Yeah, we're going to a concert, but I can't tell you what." And we're like, so we get in the car. And he's like, "All right, we're going to see Green Day." And I'm like,
We're like,
"What?"
Because we didn't like Green Day.
I was like, "I don't want to go see you guys. I'm just kidding. We're going to see Jackal."
Yeah,
and then
we were like, yes.
and then we're like, "Oh no!"
Because we grew up with the debut Jackal record.
But that debut record is probably one of the best.
That's just everything about that.
I might like
great.
Jackal's debut more than I like Kiss's debut, and I'm a Kiss fan. Because that
I couldn't go that far, but
I mean, maybe they're just neck and neck, and I'm just saying that to be, you know, kind of whatever. But like to me, that Jackal debut record is just one of the best debut records of all time.
interesting.
Well, okay, one of the best debut records that I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. So 30 years on both of those records, crazy.
Nice.
But of course, this is a Kiss podcast, so we'll get back to Kiss.
Sure.
And what's happening in the current Kiss world is that Kiss is finally touring Australia.
Yes.
They
After
are
a couple
right
of years of
smack dab in the middle of their Australian tour after
Yes.
being canceled, and then canceled, and then I think canceled again.
and rescheduled and canceled. And
So
rescheduled.
it's finally happening.
Yes.
Some great shows from what I've seen. I haven't really been actually digging too much into this footage as I
Right.
usually do. Usually when Kiss is on tour, I'm always just watching as much footage as I can, kind of soaking it up before it, eventually is no more.
Yeah,
But I don't know. Life has been so busy, but so I haven't been able to, look as much into it. Have you? Have you been able to watch so much footage?
Not since they did Europe.
Not
Playing
since they did
some really
Europe.
big shows in Europe. I just kind of been keeping up on social media. Hey, we're flying here, we're flying there. I haven't really seen a lot of footage, but
I did see a couple news clips of them kind of arriving and then talking with fans and some news reporters.
yeah.
The thing that I did see was that they put Shandy back in the set list.
Just for Australia,
Which
maybe.
I think we all could have, seen that coming.
Sure.
But still, to see them, change the set list, make it more specific for Australia
so
is great.
strange how
Because
much-
it's a random song for us here in America.
But in there, there's a strange phenomenon with that song in Australia because that's the only place that really embraced that song when it came out.
The whole album.
on Unmasked. Yeah, I would say they kind of like the Creatures tour. The tour in America wasn't so great, but you go to Brazil, you go to Europe, and it's
huge.
gonna sell out. Strange how different locations of the parts of the world
Yeah,
will
I think-
embrace different albums and songs and tours.
Yeah, it's funny because, of course, back then there was no internet, and so even though, information certainly travels, it travels much slowly, and so whereas the United States was kind of done with Kiss at that point, the rest of the world was just now catching on.
It's true.
I mean-
yeah, Brazil.
Yeah,
They were dying to get
it took them a couple years to even go to the UK to do those, those shots in front of the...
Took them a few years to get to Japan.
Yeah, 77 they went to Japan, then they go to Unmasked, or
That would've been
they
late
go to
76.
Australia in
Oh,
the 80s.
77, yeah.
So, yeah, you're right. So by the time they get to Australia, Australia loves it. So it is cool to see them put that song back in. And even though it was tracked, vocally beforehand.
Was another one?
Yeah, no, Paul did not sing, at least most of it, live.
Did everyone know that, or were they trying to pass it off as they were doing it completely live?
I'm sure Kiss they're always passing off like they're doing it live. I'm sure people in the audience, if they're like us and they're kind of on the end, they know.
They're paying attention.
And they probably don't care because
Well,
what
I
noticed...
don't care when I get in.
Because what I noticed is that it sounded incredible.
Did it?
Yes. Like,
That's
obviously, again, the reason why Paul is doing this is because if he does... either way, fans are going to complain. They're going to complain that his voice sucks, or they're going to complain that his voice sounds too good because it's being tracked, and he's not going to ever win. So, but the reason why I think he's tracking these is because he can get in the studio on a good day, and without running around being out of breath, can lay these, as he would in 2022 with the voice that he has in 2022, but without it sounding...
But it's still a track. It's...
But without it sounding, like he's been running around all night, performing night after night on a whole tour where his vocals are starting to, kind of wane. I don't know if you remember, but when we saw Kiss... when we see Kiss, it's always in August, September, towards the end of the tour because we live in the Midwest. So by the time they get out here, it's the end of the tour.
Yeah.
But we'll be watching clips from the opening night of the tour where Paul's vocals sound really strong.
By the time it gets to us,
but by the time, but if you're, it's inevitable. If you're at that age, it's you're not going to see the same consistencies that you did when you were younger. So I totally understand why he's tracking these songs. Nevertheless, though, Shandy sounded great live.
Awesome.
It sounded great. I think the fans were into it. So that's awesome. I know if you're like me and Daphne, you wish that Kiss would have Crazy Nights in the set list still, because I think that song was, one of the stronger songs. And
when we got to see that live, it was always pretty special when we got to see.
It was very special, yeah. But I'm sure it was special for Australia to see Shandy. So that tour is going to conclude. The Australian tour will conclude September 10th. On Gold Coast, Australia, which is coming up. And as of now, Wolfmother is still on the bill.
Nice.
We mentioned that in a previous episode before this last leg got canceled again, that Wolfmother was going to be on the bill opening for Kiss. And that to us was kind of awesome because I don't think Kiss has really had a musical Have they had a musical artist join them on this tour as far as opening?
Yeah, David Lee Roth.
Oh, that's right.
Kicked his ass off because of one reason or another.
You're right, David Lee Roth. Yeah, okay.
Which was awesome.
That was fantastic. We saw the Fort Wayne show and it was great.
Killer. Now, if they're doing those mysterious extra 100 dates,
right,
and they are happening to come back to America, we have no word on that yet. This is all speculation. But if they're doing more shows in the U.S. around the Midwest, I hope they bring Wolfmother with them.
Yeah, I don't know. Are they an Australian band? Like, what is the reason behind Wolfmother even, because they're only there for like a show or two.
Yeah.
They're only...
Are they Australian?
Probably
not. I have no idea.
I have no idea either, but it's just cool because obviously they are a well-known rock band nonetheless. And the fact that Kiss is, involving a musical artist, I think is cool. We have discussed, and we won't get into it today. They are Australian.
Oh, cool. Well, that makes sense.
Wow.
Yeah, they rock.
For sure. Well, so then I guess it does make sense why they're on the bill. But, apart from, like you said, David Lee Roth for a handful, a string of shows, they really haven't had any musical guests. Yeah. And we've talked about why. I don't think we will get into it right now as to why. We've speculated as to why there aren't any other guests joining them musically on this tour. But, hey, that's awesome. So hopefully the folks that are in Australia will enjoy that, enjoy, seeing Wolfmother.
The stage show looks really good out there, too. Mm-hmm. Out there in Australia. Slightly different than what we got.
Yeah, they've carried over the... we had the Gargoyles in Dayton.
Yeah, and the big cats
and then,
on stage. And
that's what I meant. And the cats.
And really amazing light show. The laser light shows just...
And in Europe, they added the inflatables.
Yes, that was there's something else that we didn't get.
Those big giant...
Those big inflatables.
Which is awesome because...
Very cool.
It's all about extending the stage. I mean, when you think about, Kiss and just their instruments on stage, and of course they have the huge logo, but over the years, it's like, well, how do we add more? How do we, we have the X-axis and the Y-axis. How do we fill that Z-axis? How do we fill all that spiders? And
they brought Sammy T. Serpent back.
They got the Sammy back, and they've got all this cool stuff. They've got inflatables on the side of the stage, and they've got flames for days. Well, yeah, you're right. Great stage show.
It's fantastic. So, Australia, I'm glad that they're getting, the good show that they deserve because they've been waiting for so long.
And this will be the last show that Australia sees, as far as we're all concerned. Another topic I wanted to get to, because this is actually coming up very, very soon, is the next release, and that is Off the Soundboard.
Yep.
And that's coming out September 9th.
Very soon.
The show from Des Moines, 77.
About a week from now.
About a week from, when we're recording. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because we've been talking about how these releases are coming out boom, boom, boom. It's like every 3 months or whatever, you're getting a new Off the Soundboard, and for some reason it actually feels like it's been a minute since Donington came out.
I feel the same,
even though it really probably hasn't. It's only been when was the last episode?
Months,
yeah, we did the episode reviewing Donington, earlier this year, and Virginia Beach this year too. So it's like 3 in 1 year. But for some reason, it feels like it's been a minute.
I feel like it feels like it's been so long because I listened to it so much when it came out.
Donington,
like over and over and over in the car, and I still love it, but it feels like I'm almost done and past it, and I'm ready for the next one. Which is awful because now we're spoiled for getting these, old Kiss releases. But I'm happy. So
what I might actually do is before this next one comes out, just go back and revisit them, the 3 that we have.
Yeah,
because I absolutely love them, and I've been listening to them like I would, Kiss Alive 1, 2, 3, 4, Symphony, and Kiss Rocks Vegas, it's just an Unplugged. It's just another live album.
Sure.
But I may actually go back and listen to Donington again before this one comes out, because obviously the one that makes this one special is the fact that it's originals Kiss. It's 77. It's the height of Kiss. And so the single we already have is Let Me Go Rock and Roll, and another one dropped
I have not listened to either one of them.
I didn't know the second one dropped. The second one was Beth. The second single was Beth, which I thought was an interesting choice. 2
interesting choices.
Yeah, Let Me Go Rock and Roll I felt was a pretty good choice.
Figured they would have done like Detroit Rock City and, I don't know, Ladies Room or something. I don't even know if that's in the set list.
Yeah, it was at that time.
It was. Room.
But so I'm looking forward to this one because
yes.
This one I feel like once we get it and then once we do our review, which we're going to do a review of it, I feel like it's inevitably going to be compared to Kiss Alive 2, where it's like because they're both from '77, and it's both capturing Kiss at their height, but one is really done up, and is almost fake. If you think about it, you got songs recorded
Alive.
You got songs, even more than Alive, because these were songs on Alive 2. You got songs that were recorded during sound check.
Yeah.
That were just thrown a live audience cheering under it, where it's like, usually the crowd only cheers at the very beginning or the end of a song.
As opposed to the entire song.
Yeah, Kiss Alive 2, it's like everybody is at maximum cheer level the whole time.
That annoys me with some live albums that do that. I'm like, that's not...
It's clearly overdone, so I'm wondering where it's like, okay, what are we going to prefer? That overdone, polished, like, boo, this is like what a Kiss concert would be like?
Yeah.
Or are we going to appreciate that raw sort of...
Well, I would imagine people who grew up with Alive 2 are going to always prefer that. Because they have a whole experience with the album cover and, the gatefold. There's so much more that goes in, to growing up with the album and hearing it as a kid versus now. And we're just going to hear stripped back versions of it. Now, for someone like me, I'm much more interested in listening to the Off the Soundboard to get a feel for the real raw Kiss that they would have got in 1977.
Right.
And I probably, or at least I hope, I don't do too much comparing between the two because they are two very different things. I'm aware that one is done a certain way and this one's going to be, more of a stripped back real way. So I don't think there's any point in really comparing them.
Well, no. Well, just for the sake of analysis, just for the sake of on this show.
Oh yeah.
Just for the sake of analysis, kind of like looking at it and saying, well, obviously this one is done in one way for a reason.
Yes.
But pin that up against this, it's like, what conclusions can we draw and some of that. So we'll get into that obviously when it comes out. We can't do it now because we haven't heard the whole thing. But it's still exciting, and I hope that a lot of people when this stuff happens, their complaint is that our complaint about the Virginia Beach one was that the quality was crap. But that was, I think, a justifiable complaint. When the Destroyer box set came out and Paris released, everybody was like, "Well, this sucks," and it's like, "Well, what did you expect?" So I think if anybody's expecting this next soundboard from Des Moines to sound like. Alive 2. That's
not going to happen.
Don't compare it in that way.
No.
I agree with that. Don't even try to compare it in that way because it's not going to work.
I think most people will be so blinded that it's the original 4 and it won't even matter.
Yeah.
Because the fact that the Virginia Beach show sounded the way it did and didn't have the original members, it was doomed to fail.
Yeah.
Because people were already going to be like,
they were on the fence about buying
it. Yeah. Like, I'm only going to buy it to fulfill the collection. Whereas we got 77 Kiss at their peak with the original 4. I feel like it's just going to go over well, unless it's really, really bad, which I don't think it's going to be.
No, I don't think it will.
I think it's going to be a good release. But it gives me more hope that we might get something closer to the 80s.
Yeah, well, I mean, they keep, they've done the current Kiss, they've done Reunion Kiss, Farewell Kiss, I guess. Reunion Kiss and Farewell Kiss.
Yeah.
So they have 77 Kiss. It's like, well, where else can you go? I mean, I guess they can go earlier, 75, 74, 73, if they wanted to, and we would dig
I want them to go mid-80s.
I want them to go mid-80s, too.
I want a 1984, 1983, something like that.
Yeah, no, I would...
Or even 82.
I would take... I mean, obviously, I would take anything because Crazy Mexican Asylum would be awesome too. But I'm thinking Animalize and Hot in the Shade.
Oh, okay. Oh, the Hot in the Shade would be. See
the Hot in the Shade. Yes. It was just that tour was just straight fire through and through. And again, with this next Off the Soundboard, I kind of want to look at the set list and compare them too because I'm not sure how accurate the Alive 2 set list was because the whole point was to include songs that
they couldn't use songs that were on the first Alive.
Yeah, they wanted to use songs that were not being played on Kiss Alive. So I wonder how much
Destroyer and Love Gone.
Yeah, so I wonder how much they kind of fooled with it a little bit. And
True.
So we'll look at that, I guess, too.
That would definitely be interesting.
But Let Me Go Rock and Roll came out. I didn't hear Beth, the second single. I listened to Let Me Go Rock and Roll, the first one. I wasn't able to listen to Beth, which at this point I probably even won't, just with the whole album's fresh.
So we got like a week and a day, maybe.
Yeah. But Now, do you have any other comments on Off the Soundboard before we move on to the next topic?
No, other than I'm really excited.
Because the next topic is the big one.
The big one, yes.
Is the big one. Because
Very
as we
excited.
all know, the Creatures box set was just announced. It's been talked about, discussed, and anticipated, for a while.
Yeah.
We now have official word. It is available for pre-order. Not just the box set, but all kinds of other, variations thereof. Vinyl, CDs, and T-shirts. Oh my goodness. So, hey, how awesome is that, right? We're getting Creatures. It's another top 5 Kiss album for us.
Absolutely stoked. I could not be happier about the official announcement. And a part of me was like, preparing myself to be disappointed because when Gene announced it on the podcast, I was like, man, you just never know what, if what Gene says is coming to fruition.
Yeah.
And the fact that it did get announced, but that it's going to be released by the end of this year,
November.
I could not be more happy about that.
Yeah.
Seriously. And so I saw that it was posted on Twitter or something. I didn't pre-order it yet, but I immediately clicked on the link to open it up and see how it might compare to Destroyer, and it looks like there's more content than the Destroyer one.
Yep.
Of course, it's more money than the Destroyer one. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's just because there's more content or because they saw so many people, including ourselves, saying they could have gotten away with, charging more for the Destroyer one, which I still think they could have, but this one's about $300 now. I still think that's fair. For what you're getting in it, it appears to be a fairly appropriate price for what you're getting, assuming it's going to be up to the quality that the Destroyer one is, and it's being made by the same people. Yeah, no,
T42 Design, I think, is in charge of this one again, doing the packaging. Same design company who's doing the Off the Soundboard.
Yes.
Same company who's done Kiss Alive 4.
Yes.
Same company who's done the Kiss
The
box
set. Yes.
Just great stuff. And no, you're right. So you said you didn't pre-order it yet because you're waiting.
I'm gonna wait till Amazon has it, assuming they're gonna carry it. Only because I prefer Amazon's shipping. It's super fast. I love Amazon.
Sure. Yeah. So I think I've heard other fans are kind of holding off on pre-ordering it as well too, because of the price, because of the fact that it's
really
$300. Yes.
So this is maybe
it's become quite a it's actually, and maybe it's just one of those things where only the people who have negative thoughts are actually expressing their negative thoughts.
Yeah, they tend to be
because someone like me who is very positive and loves it, I didn't leave any response on it. I was too busy pre-ordering it, being excited and preparing for the podcast and so all that.
Yeah.
So maybe it's one of those cases where it's the ones with the loudest voice or the ones that are negative. But it seems like everybody is a little bit upset that it's actually jumped in price like that.
I don't think Warren's being upset at all. Because, to me, the Destroyer box set could have been sold for $300.
The Destroyer one probably could have, but I think with this Creatures one, I think $300 is enough.
It's just enough. I think it's justifiable. I think it's fairly appropriate.
See,
I prefer it to be less, but $300, I'm still going to pay the money.
Well, I'm still going to pay the money too.
Yes.
I mean, I'm definitely getting the $300 box set, but this one really did make me think. Maybe we said this before, but I keep thinking it's like, how much money can I spend? Because
on Kiss
with
so much coming out.
And of course I keep saying it, but I'll probably go buy the next thing.
Sure.
But I don't think anybody should feel bad for not wanting to get this box set if you don't want to.
Of course not, no.
Because I think there's this thing with Kiss fans, and I certainly suffer from it too, where it's called FOMO, fear of missing out. Where it's like, okay, if you don't get the special edition, if you don't get this, and somebody else does, then they have something over you.
Yeah.
And Kiss fans, for some reason, have that thing, and even myself too, where it's like, I'm not really influenced by anybody else's opinion of me. I'm influenced by my own opinion of me.
Right.
If I get, like for instance, Off the Soundboard, if I get all 3 special edition picture discs,
you have to keep up with
and then the next one I don't, it's like, oh, you didn't get them all. And plus, we looked at this beforehand, before we filmed, they're all sold out. Or a lot of these special editions are sold out. Like the Revenge 30th Anniversary is sold out. The special edition for Donington sold out. So,
all 3 of those
I feel good because I have them.
Sure. But for how long?
But they're sitting right there outside my record bin because they can't fit.
Well, that's more of a logistical issue.
Yeah. And with all this stuff coming out, like the Destroyer box or Creatures box set, it's like space will become a thing.
It is a lot of wants.
It's a lot of wants.
It seems like all of a sudden, starting last year, we're just like, bam, we're getting, the floodgates have opened and we're getting all this new stuff that we kind of wish. I think they should have started Off the Soundboard a few years ago.
I think Universal, I was about to say, I think Universal has, because Kiss probably doesn't have anything to do with this. I think Universal is finally starting to utilize KISS a little bit better.
Maybe they're taking advantage of the final tour.
Yeah, I mean, something. The fact that hey, that they're going away. So if we're going to do something, might as well do it now. Yeah. Because I mean, we've only got we had Kiss World compilation, which was great, but nothing too special. The Love Gun Deluxe edition, which was less than. Yeah, I mean, it was fine, but it was less than ideal. Yeah. So Kiss 40 was cool. I'll give Kiss 40. Kiss 40 was a cool compilation, cool idea conceptually, but as far as nothing like this, Off the Soundboard, Destroyer box set, no. And I think you're right. This should have happened a few years ago, because to space it out a little bit more. Because at the rate they're cranking them out,
and the box sets too.
And I'm wondering with this Creatures one, it's like how many units will they make? Because with the Destroyer one, it's like, yeah, lots of fans loved it, lots of fans got it, lots of fans pre-ordered it on site.
They could still get it.
But how many were left over? Plenty, because it was on Amazon for what, 180 at one point, 140, and then it went back up to one.
Right now, it's on Amazon for $182.99.
There you go. See, I bought it for full price, and that price sort of fluctuate a little bit because there are still units that are taking up space, and they got to move them.
Honestly,
so with this Creatures one, I'm wondering if they're making less units and charging more to maybe kind of offset that. And of course, we have no insight. This is all pure speculation.
Well, and use your discretion. If you don't feel like it's worth $300,
then don't buy it. No,
don't buy it. Or you could just buy the standard CD because it's going to be newly remastered.
Yeah, I did kind of go off on a tangent. The whole point was don't be worried about fear of missing out, because there is no such thing as there shouldn't be such a thing as holding it over somebody that they don't have this certain release. I understand why somebody would be mad that this release is $300 when they can't afford it, but they really want it. That's how I feel every year about the Kiss Cruise.
Yeah,
I want to be on the Kiss Cruise. Right. I feel like I deserve to be on the Kiss Cruise.
But that's
feasible. Not what it's about,
Right.
And if you either can't afford it or you can't, and if you can't, that doesn't mean you're some lesser fan. It's just that you can't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's no big deal. I'll stick to staying up till midnight refreshing YouTube, hoping somebody gets a signal, uploads a video, so I can see some crappy foam video of Kiss playing The Oath or something. I don't care. I love it. I'm a Kiss fan no matter what. So I think that when it comes to this whole consumerism, it's big in America, but it's big in the Kiss world too. For sure. Where I may start to see a slowdown in purchasing some of this stuff, but we'll see. I'm really wondering how long it's going to take until I start going on the selling side as opposed to just collecting.
Sure.
Because selling Kiss stuff, is something I probably should be getting into now, but. We actually did get a single released already from the Creatures box set. Did you see that?
Betrayed.
Okay, so you did. I was wondering if you would saw it because you didn't listen or see Beth from.
I'm saving
the soundboard. You're saving that till
it comes out.
But you did hear Betrayed.
I heard Betrayed.
Okay.
And I was pleasantly surprised by the quality of the sound. First of all, I was thrown off because I thought it was going to be closer to what would end up on Hot in the Shades. You were thinking it was
a
totally different song.
Yeah, it has no relation to the song Hot in the Shades.
I assumed that Gene had taken whatever this demo or outtake from the Creatures era and put it on the demo outtake album Hot in the Shade.
I did too.
But no, it's actually
that's classic Gene. That's what he does.
Gene.
He writes songs and then he puts them away and then digs them out and then redoes them and then fixes them up and makes a song out of it.
Sonic Booms. I mean, he took songs from the 80s.
Oh yeah.
Probably the Hot in the Shade era. But no, I was pleasantly surprised by the audio quality. I thought, okay, you know what, it sounds pretty good. Pleasantly surprised by Paul's vocals. Of course, he's just doing some filling in, doing some na-na-nas.
It was an incomplete song. The chorus was there.
Right. And then Trey was just kind of riffing to see where,
But the verses...
laying down a melody.
Yeah, the melody for the verse was there, but the lyrics were not.
No.
Although it did say, what would it say? Lyricist Paul and Vinny?
I didn't
Paul and somebody?
I didn't pay attention to that.
For sure. I think...
I just saw it on Spotify and clicked on it. That's I didn't look into it too deeply.
Okay. I'm pretty sure it said that Paul was the lyricist, so I guess Paul and Vinny may have wrote that chorus and just didn't have any lyrics yet. It's kind of funny to me that they would even record that track having had no lyrics.
That's kind of weird.
It must be one of those songs that was probably written musically first.
Yeah,
the music was written.
They had a riff,
and then you have a riff. You put a drum beat to it. Okay, and then we have our song structure.
Yes.
Well,
we'll fill in.
What do we sing over it?
The song was okay.
It's kind of a
paint by number.
I mean, what do you expect? It's an outtake. What do you expect? The thing that I got from it was noticing the quality of Paul's vocals.
Oh, that sounded great.
Not just in the sound as far as how they were being recorded and how we were listening to them, but his actual ability, because. it seemed like with Lick It Up and songs like Million to One and Exciter,
Fantastic.
it was like almost a different Paul Stanley. Have you ever left
There was a jump there.
like a battery on its charger for too long, and then it all of a sudden runs really well?
Yeah.
It's like overcharged. Like that was
Oh,
Paul
yeah.
on Lick It Up and Beyond. It was like,
Right.
I mean, he was already this crazy hype man.
But when you think about Creatures,
But without
he's like
Creatures-
halfway there.
yeah, well, listen to like Danger. It's like, oh, you can hear where Paul's going. I Still Love You, in '82 versus
Still
'95.
powerful, but
Completely different. And
Right.
it was like, for some reason in '83 when they unmasked, it was like Paul vocally became this brand new beast.
Yeah.
And became the Paul that we all know.
Right.
Whereas in the '70s, it wasn't quite like that.
No.
It was still Paul Stanley. He's always had that same kind of,
Right. And he sang really well on the solo
even today,
album.
even if he doesn't have that strong voice, it's still always going to be Paul Stanley no matter what year it is.
Yeah.
But it just seemed like in '83 there was that little kick up, and you can kind of see that happening with this little Betrayed outtake,
yeah. His
where
vocals sounded great.
again he's just riffing, so he's
Yeah.
not singing anything. It's all nonsensical. It's just noises, but
Yeah.
you're hearing the tone in his voice. And so I'm wondering what else we're going to get from this box set, because I looked into it, and it looks like most of the demos are Gene demos, which
Okay.
I felt like
Makes sense.
which I felt like it made sense.
Gene's got a lot of
There's going to
demos.
be more Gene demos and Gene outtakes than Paul demos and Paul outtakes.
Yeah.
I feel like Gene puts, a little bit of. I think
A
Paul
little bit
puts
of effort into a lot of songs. And
I think
puts
Paul
a
puts
lot of
all effort into one song, whereas Gene might
Yes.
put the same effort that Paul does in one song into like 4 or 5, and then
as evidenced
eventually,
by the rest of the 80s.
as evidenced by the fact that he's got all these different demos. But either way, it's really exciting to see this box set, and this is actually kind of funny. And maybe I told you this already, but when I was debating buying the box set for Creatures, I was like, man, it's $300. Like, I know I want it because it's got all this kind of cool stuff in it, but like, just to drop that much right now it just seems
It's a bit
dumb.
much.
And so I went and looked, and yes, it seems to be more content than Destroyer box set, so that might justify the reason why there's a price increase. But one of the selling points for me was there's going to be, I don't know if it's a whole disc or just several songs on a disc of like all these different sound effects from the Creatures, and they did include some on the Destroyer box set. They have like the car crash, the explosion, and some of those car engine noises or whatever, which was cool. But these Creature sound effects, I don't think I've ever heard them.
I doubt I've
Because I wasn't alive on that tour. I didn't see any shows from that tour. There's only limited, stuff from that tour, period, dot. So the fact that they would even include that stuff on there, to me, is fascinating. And so it's funny how you'd pay $300 for sound effects, but I'm paying that to get all this extra. Yeah, that is Kiss fans for you. You're right. So I'm really excited to hear some of this extra content, including the live stuff.
Oh, I'm super
because
excited for the live
there was
stuff.
one disc of live stuff on Destroyer box set that was Paris.
Right.
I think there's 2 discs of live stuff, and I don't know if you noticed this or not, but the live stuff that's going to be included on this Creatures box set is part of the leaked audio that was just
I saw that.
the Creatures from
bad timing for that leaked footage to come out.
Well, it wasn't footage. This was just audio.
Okay, well, I'm not listening to
This
it.
was soundboard audio of Rockford and some of these shows from 82, 83 on the Creatures tour before they unmasked.
Sure.
And lo and behold, on the Creatures box set, what will now be included are some of the very same tracks that were, I'm assuming, the same files and the same, stuff that was leaked. So yeah, a little weird timing on that.
Very strange.
Somebody will have to do a sound comparison and see how they compare to each other.
Well, I'm glad at least
if they are the same.
I mean, we have that, sort of bootleg audio coming out. Well, I'm glad at least it's. So I guess we're getting the opportunity to buy the footage or the audio.
Buy the audio.
I'm not gonna say I don't engage in, listening and watching bootlegs, because I do, like everyone else does. But if I know it's coming out in the box set, I'm not gonna listen to it until it comes out in the box set. But I'm stoked for that. I'm honestly stoked because of Vinny. I loved his playing on that album.
Yep.
Well, from whatever he did on that album, a couple songs here and there, whatever.
Yeah, War Machine was his.
On that tour.
Yep, that tour.
You just watched that footage.
That Brazil
Vinny
show
was just great.
Vinny,
he
fit very, very well in Kiss. All things. I mean, I know it seemed very random at the time.
On that tour, yes.
But when you think about,
I look it up.
Vinny, I mean, he had great stage presence.
He did have a good stage presence.
He had just as much energy as those guys did.
Kind of mysterious. He had his own totally unique way of playing.
He was not,
sounded completely different than Ace.
Oh yeah, he wasn't trying to be no Ace at all.
Not even close.
He was like, I think if Vinny had
no
been,
one sounds like Vinny.
No, if Vinny had been, if Vinny had been more of a fit behind the scenes and personally with Kiss, he was a great fit musically. He could write songs. He could play very well.
He should have been.
He was creative. He had great stage presence. Great player. He had all of it except he couldn't work with the band in that way. And I think if he had and he could get along with them, not only would he have been an amazing asset to Kiss, he would have soared beyond Ace. People would have been like, Ace who? I mean, like, he would have overshadowed Ace. Because Vinny had like miles more technical ability than Ace ever could have.
Yeah, and he still had his own sound.
And Ace, yes, could also write songs, could also sing, also had great stage presence. But Vinny seemed to be that and just a hair more.
Yeah.
And if it had worked out with Vinny, I mean, who knows where...
Vinny, in some ways, was a musical genius.
He was. He is. He is a musical genius.
He was a musical genius.
And we're all humans. We're all going to have our faults. Gene and Paul certainly are not perfect people at all either.
No.
I mean, they made it. They're certainly made it. Only you either make it or you don't. And Gene and Paul made it. But nobody's perfect. Especially Gene and Paul. But no, Vinny, yeah, I agree. Musical genius.
At that time, specifically 82, 83, he was just absolutely on fire. And I think Vinny would have been a great, metal guitar player.
Yeah.
If you think about it, he would have done. He would have thrived in Metallica. Mm-hmm. He could play all that stuff better than any of those
when you listen to
Lick
It Up, it's almost
thrashy.
It's got a thrash undertone to it.
That and
Animalize as well. I mean, obviously it's not as low as thrash metal, but when you think about
thrash metal isn't even that low. Metallica tunes the same as Kiss.
Okay.
Thrash metal, they don't down tune.
Okay.
It's either in standard E or a half step down. Which is just an FYI.
Which is what Kiss plays a half step down, don't they?
Half step down, which is what Hendrix was popular for
sure.
An E flat.
Oh, there you go.
That's what Kiss plays in. But that's
But yes,
early Metallica.
Well, even though Paul wasn't singing in a thrash, with a thrash vocal style,
right.
Musically that was heavy stuff. Lick It Up was coming out at the same time as Kill 'Em All by Metallica.
Literally.
Now those are all, I know they're two different albums, two different bands.
Well,
I'm not trying to say that they're on the same level as Metallica, but I'm saying
the main difference is the choruses. Kiss has catchy choruses,
poppy melodic choruses,
with all the heavy fast stuff in between. Metallica was just fast all the way through with some shredded guitar solos. Kiss just had a
Young
poppy,
and Wasted. Dude, Young and Wasted.
Awesome.
Young and Wasted is great.
It was fast, and the riffs, they're doing all the fast power chords and stuff.
Yeah.
Animalize and Lick It Up both. I listen to Animalize a lot recently, and I was just sitting there thinking, this stuff, and that's why I want an Off the Soundboard for that tour. Animalize specifically, one, because I love Bruce. To hear him fresh in the band.
That should have been Live 3.
Oh, I think
everyone
agrees.
A Live 3 should have been on the Animalize tour. That would have been insane.
That would have been the fastest, heaviest, craziest
that would have
thing they'd done. Yeah.
Yeah, Kiss had some good heat back then because, I know about Creatures of the Night. Creatures of the Night was a great album, but because of the,
but they're still playing Cold Gin and shit. It's
dude, when you listen to that stuff on the Brazil show,
it's strange.
It doesn't sound like it at all.
No.
Like Dr. Love doesn't even sound like Dr. Love.
Completely.
It sounds like a completely different
And the guitar
song.
solos are completely. I still love it, but it sounds way different than the way it was played.
It's very different. It's very different. But even though that album, that tour, was on fire because of the last couple releases, people had checked out, and I hate that. I wish History had been different in that regard. But for them to come back in the way that they did with Lick It Up, and have I think Lick It Up was their first gold album in a while, and then I think Animalize was their first platinum record in a while, and of course we all know Heaven's on Fire was a very successful hit for the band, as was the next one, Tears Are Falling, as was the next one, Crazy Nights.
Paul carried that band single-handedly throughout the
I was going to say, 80s Kiss is still pretty awesome.
And he produced Animalize, so Heaven's on Fire, his song, he produced that whole record. Gene Simmons co-producing, but
I would like to ask the Kiss Army about this because on the record, Animalize, I'm pretty sure it says that it was produced by Paul Stanley.
Yep.
But I keep hearing people say that Michael James Jackson also helped produce Animalize. And I don't know of any validity to that statement, and he just passed away, unfortunately, so we'll never know. I mean, at least from him. I mean, I don't know if he's ever talked about it.
I think he would have demanded credit if he helped it at all, because it says Gene co-produced it, right?
Well, I don't know. I know on Animalize, or on Asylum, it says that Gene and Paul both produced
Right, and Hot in the Shade was the
Asylum
same.
Together. I don't know if Gene helped produce Animalize. Maybe he did.
Yeah, I think he may have.
And I could dig the record up. I really don't feel like it right now. Because I got to... Well...
I recently picked up
That's the one I'm gonna get.
a copy of Animalize. I was at some antique store and I found a copy, a near mint copy of Animalize in the shrink wrap with the hype sticker, which Xander has.
In the
before
shrink
now.
wrap with the hype sticker.
It is mint condition. I played the vinyl. There's not a single
I
scratch.
played
on
it too. It is insane. $20.
I would $20, and it's in brilliant condition.
So it says produced by Paul Stanley, associate producer Gene Simmons.
That's what I thought. So associate producer is essentially a co-producer, but it's Paul's.
Right.
You know, when it sounds. I think that may have been Paul's best production.
So
effort.
I don't know if maybe I just heard one fan's comment about Michael James Jackson and just stuck with me, or if I heard a bunch of people saying it, but I could have
think he would've
swore I
gotten the
read
credit.
or heard somewhere.
Maybe he
that he
started
maybe had
producing
some
on the
involvement.
album, and then maybe they canned him, and then maybe that's why Paul produced it.
Yeah, I have no
I kind
idea.
of wish he would have produced it because the other two before that sounded great, especially Creatures.
Well, do you think Animalize wasn't as good, or do you have some complaints about
I
Animalize?
think it sounds roughly the same as Look It Up.
It sounds fine to me.
I think that's Paul's best production effort to date.
Yeah, Sonic Boom sounded really good too. Now that I think about
Oh,
it.
okay.
See, Sonic Boom to me, I used to not like that,
Yeah.
and now I hear it, and now I love it.
I still more of a fan of Monster in the way that sounds in Sonic Boom. There's something about
That's
Sonic
so funny
Boom
to me
that
because
sounds
most
so
fans are
digital.
against you.
Yeah, well, I fully admit
love
I'm in the minority on there.
I love Monster too, though.
I prefer the songs and the production on Monster than anything Sonic Boom, although I do like Sonic Boom a lot. It just sounds really digital and clean.
Yeah.
Monster sounds completely the opposite, totally analog, gritty, and I love how muddy it sounds.
Kind of
I know
Harder
it's
Than Hell.
weird. It sounds miles above Harder Than Hell.
I know it does. But
Like, it's
I'm
not
just
even
saying,
insanely, but
No, I'm just saying.
Monster is just the perfect sounding rock record to me.
I love Monster.
Just freaking awesome.
Yeah, I love Monster. I love Animalize.
But Animalize sounds good, and it kind of sounds like, you know, there's not a whole lot he probably did to it. I mean, there's a lot of sound effects and stuff like that. But I think, that may, it's just a solid sounding record. But I thought Creature sounded way better than Lick It Up, sound quality wise, production wise.
Yeah, so a lot of fans wish that Lick It Up had the same production that Creatures did. Do you feel that way? Because I almost don't. I almost don't. Even though
Creatures, the sound,
it makes it special for that album.
the sound really matches the cover.
Yeah.
Creatures, it just sounds like it looks, and it's its own thing. Whereas Lick It Up, it's more stripped back. They're taking the makeup
It
off.
still sounds great.
It sounds totally solid.
It does.
I mean, and Michael James Jackson, yeah, those two albums are really good. But
And I like
Creatures-
how and maybe this was like a design choice
Mhm.
from the design team, but Creatures has a dark background with like this moody, gloomy
Yes.
sort of. Lick It Up has a stark white background.
Yeah,
And just very bare bones. I love
Right.
that. I think
it was well presented.
I think
both
it's
of those
great.
albums.
Yeah.
Do you have any presents for yourself that you'd like to open up?
Do I have any? Yeah, you're kind of right. All this is just me buying presents for myself all the time. It's kind of sad, actually. But
If you're happy.
but that's why I call it the collector's corner, because it sounds a little bit better and it sounds.
Welcome to the Collector's Corner.
That's right. Yeah. So I will get the Kiss knife out and I will open some stuff as we're closing up. I'm assuming we won't have any other thoughts on the box set other than I want it.
If I could ask,
Yeah.
when you heard about the Destroyer one and when you heard about the Creatures one, which one were you more excited about and why?
Oh, Creatures, man! Obviously, I mean, this is Destroyer is not in my top 5. Creatures is.
Creatures is, yes.
And it's Eric Carr.
Yeah.
It's it's a whole different
Different
ballpark.
thing.
I mean, Destroyer is the one that they would do 1st.
Mhm.
When Destroyer was announced first, I was like, duh. I was like, it was either gonna be that or Love Gun. You know what I mean? It's obvious. So with Creatures, I am way more excited for the Creatures box set. It seems like they're doing some of the same things with They're doing
original
the
artwork,
replica
new artwork.
the replica tour program.
Yes.
You have I love what was it, Gotham City Rock News, or that little newspaper that they
Yes,
put
that
together
was
with interviews.
super cool.
They're gonna have interviews from Gene, Paul, Eric Carr, and Vinny, and Michael James Jackson. I don't know where these are coming from, these interviews, because obviously Eric Carr's passed. I'm not sure how they're getting a hold of Vinny, and Michael James Jackson just passed, so they must have.
Well, they're probably old interviews.
It must be old interviews, but were these interviews like just unreleased? Were these interviews like just tucked away somehow? Like, I mean, it's funny how this stuff gets either tucked away or uncovered and all that.
Sure.
But either way, yeah, a lot to look forward to in this
Yes.
Creatures box set.
And there's some beautiful portraits in there of each member with Vinny and Eric.
Yeah,
Gorgeous. I don't know who did those or if those. I'm guessing those are newer.
they
Because like with the Destroyer, they had a lot of original tour program, but they had added some new things that weren't in the original Kiss Army booklet or whatever. So
Yeah.
look, they're doing some new and old stuff with the Creatures too.
So I think this is a cassette, which in the last episode I was all about them cassettes. Apparently I'm still at it.
Apparently, yeah. They almost have all of their albums on
I'm really
cassette.
trying to... Oh, yes. So me and some guy, and if you're watching, I'm sorry, but we had a little eBay battle.
Oh, okay.
With, the eBay auction. Somebody's been watching these episodes and been like, okay, now I know his secret, and they got me. So anyway, there was an eBay auction. I'm sorry, I guess I should tell everybody. It's a Badlands single for Winter's Call. Badlands was the band that sealed Badlands cassette single for the song Winter's Call. Badlands was the band that Eric was in prior to being in Kiss.
Yes.
With Jake E. Lee. Go for it. So there was two cassette singles that were being offered up on an eBay auction. 2 Badlands cassette singles.
It really is brand new.
I had bid on them both because nobody was really bidding on them. But somebody last minute outbid me on one.
Oh no.
And I was really sad. So I kept my eye on the second one. Oh. And they will actually give you live updates as the people are bidding on it. And so I put in my max bid of whatever and watched as this person, I was live watching as this person tried to raise their price to beat mine right before the bell rang, and the bell rang and I had it the highest price. So he got one and I got the other.
Yep. Hey, right on. Yeah, Winter's Call backed with Ball and Chain, unavailable on LP, so there you go. It's strange seeing Eric, this is 1989. Looks exactly the same as he did on Revenge, natural blonde, beautiful blonde hair.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And on the last episode, I was doing some show and tell, and a couple of the things that I opened were another cassette single for, I think, Let's Put the X in Sex or Make Me Rock Hard, one of those two. I had a couple, it was Domino.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The cassette single for Domino. And I had asked the viewers, about, if they were around back then collecting, what was the purpose of those? Because it seems kind of odd that you would just play, one song on one cassette. Yeah. And turns out I did get some comments from folks who were letting me know that they actually were modified to only hold a certain amount of music. So rather than having like 30 minutes of blank music, there's only enough music on here for the one single.
Well, I knew that, but like...
And apparently, with some of these singles, the bands, they would have alternate mixes and alternate...
So it's like 12-inch singles then?
Kind of. But they were different mixes.
Right, I was going to say, like...
With different production.
On a 12-inch single of, like, a Michael Jackson song or something, like, you'll have, like, 10 different versions of the same song.
Yeah.
Like, instrumental, disco version.
Yeah.
Remix or demo
or single mix, whatever.
Mix, radio mix.
The thing that came to my mind first, and I don't know if this is what some of those folks were saying, but here's something that kind of think. There's a promo video for Creatures of the Night, and it's for the song. I don't know if you remember that. I think there's a few seconds of it in Kiss Extreme Close Up.
Is that with the I Love It Loud?
No, it's the song Creatures of the Night.
Oh my gosh!
The promo video.
The very small portion of that is in that film, but it looks wicked cool.
And you can find the whole thing on YouTube.
Yes.
In like 144p or whatever. Very
terrible quality.
Very terrible quality.
Very cool video,
but still an awesome video.
Yes.
And if you listen to it, it has completely different drums than the Creatures of the Night album. The album version, I mean, you all know, sounds like Creatures of the Night, the album, the drums.
Carr's in that video
heavy.
too.
And he's in that video, but the drums almost sound like a drum machine, or they sound like a completely alternate take. It's
drum machines were pretty popular in that.
It's
time,
night and day the difference between the drum sound.
I never even noticed
on that promo video versus the actual album version. And so I wonder if maybe that's kind of things that we're talking about here, where it's like, yeah, it's the same song, same lyrics, but just this one part,
different edition,
makes an entirely different version. And so it ended up being a collectible thing. From what I heard, that if you were a collector, you would want these different versions, and these different versions of the songs.
Makes sense.
So I don't know about Winter's Call, but I'm a huge Eric Singer fan, so that's why I got this.
It says it's not available on LP, so you can't get this on an album. So that would be the appeal of this, is as a single that you can't get on one of their records. It's pretty cool.
Well, is it a single that you can't get on an album, or is it a single that you can get on the full album, but not just a 7-inch?
That's a good question. I wish I knew more about Badlands.
Yeah, me too. I'll have to I'll look into it. But I mean, yeah, there is some kind of selling point there.
Unavailable on LP. Maybe it is just the. I don't know.
LP usually means the full
yeah, LP means like a full 12-inch album.
True.
Unavailable on LP. I don't know enough about Badlands.
Right.
That's still really cool. It's definitely brand new, sealed. Looks really cool.
Yeah, and I'm an Eric Singer fan, so that's going with my Eric Singer
Badlands were
collection.
good.
And Badlands was great. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I would love to actually have some of their... See, I don't have any full records. You can find their stuff online to listen to for free. But, tracking that stuff down on physical media can be pretty hard. So I'm glad I have that. Now, looks like a big box, but there was one time, I don't know if you remember this, but when I ordered Kiss Rocks Vegas, and then when it came...
It was a Ghost album.
It was a Ghost record, and that was the most upsetting thing, because that Ghost record was not...
It wasn't Kiss.
It was not Kiss Rocks Vegas. So, lots of packaging for this.
I like
Now,
Ghost.
This is super awesome.
Whoa, I've never seen
So
that.
you know me and the Guitar Hero stuff.
Love Guitar
The
Hero.
Guitar Hero Rock Band stuff. So this is a faceplate for the guitar. I think this is the Wii? No, this is PS3 and Xbox 360.
Okay.
So, yeah, you get just a standard guitar, and then this would fit right over it.
Oh, yeah.
And turn a regular guitar into a Kiss Guitar Hero guitar.
Sweet.
Now I gotta find a guitar to put this on. Or no, I gotta find a second one of these to open, and then find a guitar to put it on. Keep this one packaged. Because I've been looking for this for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Over the years, I remember getting what are they? Right here. The Rock Band drum skins
Yeah.
from the Kiss catalog back in the day. And then even the Guitar Hero carrying case back when we were kids.
Yes.
And all I wanted was
the Guitar Hero guitar cover.
Yeah, well, all I wanted was a Kiss guitar. And And here I am with
you got that.
The Gene Simmons, and it's over here.
Yeah, the guitar.
So for some reason, the Guitar Hero and Kiss thing has always been really big for me.
So people always love Guitar Hero.
This is considered junk to somebody else, but this is really cool to me.
It's cool.
It's really cool to me.
Yeah. So do you plan on getting one of the guitars to put it on, or are you going to keep it in the box?
If I can find another one. Because I did at one point find one that was open, that was already opened.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was like, look, I don't need to be just spending mindless money on this. So I decided not to buy that. But I was able to buy this one. And yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking maybe at some point it would be cool to have a Guitar Hero guitar with an actual faceplate on it. And then have one that's packaged just because I'm that person. But some small stuff this week. Like I said, I'm at the point where I need to slow down for a little while. Of course, we do have... some things to look forward to, that being the Off the Soundboard, Creatures box set, all kinds of fun stuff. So I'm going to fix all that stuff later when I get out of here. Yes. But is there anything else you want to talk about as we're wrapping up here?
Not that I can think of. Covered
lots of stuff to look forward to, as always, right?
Yes, and I'm going to be holding out and waiting until that box set hopefully appears on Amazon, because I'm going to buy probably the box set and maybe the colored vinyl as well.
Yeah,
love Creatures.
They're doing all kinds. They have they're
doing a lot.
The 3 vinyl, the blue 3 vinyl.
Yeah, I want that one.
They have
I don't even know what's on that.
They have a half-speed master too.
Yeah, that's what they did with the Destroyer one too.
They did half-speed with the...
Which is, I'm not sure what that means.
I don't even know what that means either. It's
it plays the same as normal vinyl does. It's just the way it was...
It must just sound better. Whatever.
Just a vinyl making technique.
But then there's the CD, which I think has less material on it. I think it has the remastered album and then maybe some live stuff, but not quite as much.
And they're doing a standard vinyl. I think a single vinyl version. Whereas
I think that's the half speed, isn't it?
Probably.
Or is that something
But with the Destroyer, they did the colored vinyl, which was the same as the standard edition. It was just color. But there's a triple blue version with the standard black vinyl version with only one disc.
Gotcha.
So... I don't know. The blue vinyl looks so
Take your
good.
pick. There's all kinds of stuff There's all kinds of stuff to get. So
a couple good T-shirts.
It's something for everybody, and I think that's why I'm getting the full box set, is because
I have to have the full box.
I do have a fear of missing out on that one. It's like if I buy just the CD,
no man,
I'm not getting the sound effects. I'm not getting all the demos, all the live stuff. I'm only getting a smaller version of it. So
that's how I felt after the Destroyer box, because I wasn't going to get it.
Yeah, you didn't buy it at all
I didn't buy it until and I got it for slightly lesser of a price. But once I saw everything that was in it, I was like, you know what, this really is something. I think that might be the best Kiss thing they've ever released.
The best
Destroyer
box set,
maybe the best Kiss
well
merchandise related product.
Yeah,
it's just everything about it was perfect.
I loved Kiss Rocks Vegas, but even though it wasn't quite as
it's amazing, yes.
I love the Kiss Rocks Vegas was great.
But the box set, there's just they I feel like because we weren't there when the original album came out, Destroyer, but I feel like I got that experience with the box set of just being in awe of all this cool stuff I get to look at.
Yeah. And
the Creatures box set, being that there's even more content, and it's from a more interesting era, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
A different lineup. It's going to be a good Christmas.
It's going to be a great
because
Christmas.
I imagine it's coming out in mid-November.
I think
so. It'll ship maybe. Hopefully, it'll get here around December.
It should be here, around
If I order it on Amazon, it'll be here in 2 days.
Right. Kiss Online, maybe New Year's. Speaking of New Year's, where's my Kiss 2020 goodbye?
Yeah.
Where is my Kiss 2020 goodbye?
Why are people talking about this as much as they should be?
I don't know. I think Kiss fans are just giving them a pass at this point. It's like, oh, Kiss, they robbed us, whatever.
Honestly,
the fact that nobody has fought, I'm too broke to do anything legally, but like the fact that nobody has gotten like a class action lawsuit or, I don't know what that even means, but nobody's even suing Landmark. You can't go after Kiss. Kiss did their part. They showed up. They performed.
You can go after Kiss though, because it's their name on the product.
Yes, but Landmark is the one that promised all the merchandise.
Yeah,
all
but
the
Kiss
release.
is responsible for all the pre-orders. It's a Kiss product. It's not a Landmark.
It is a Kiss product. Well, it's presented by Landmark.
Okay, we understand that it's Landmark's fault, but Kiss is responsible for their.
I'm not holding Kiss blameless. I'm saying Kiss.
Right.
Doc McGee should be up somebody's ass every day saying,
Correct.
"We have thousands of dollars, or we have thousands of fans."
Or what they really should do is just give everyone a damn refund and just be done with it. And I know they're not
I
going to
agree
give a
with
refund
that.
because that's a whole lot, thousands and thousands of dollars, but that's thousands and thousands.
Well, I have
of
hundreds
dollars.
invested in it, and I want that back.
People have thousands, hundreds, and people have.
I'm not
some
rich.
people have over $1,000 invested, so they should get their money.
Yeah, and most fans are rich. A lot of Kiss fans are rich.
Some Kiss fans are wealthy.
Let's be honest. The Kiss fans do the Kiss cruises, and they do the.
We shouldn't say that they're rich.
They're not rich, but
We're young. We're not
young and broke. We
We
don't own businesses. We barely own homes. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like to spend that much money on Kiss 2020 Goodbye during a global pandemic, to not see anything return from that, and for Kiss to be silent is
absolutely absurd.
It's shitty.
That's like the one, blight on their career right now, in my opinion.
And a part of me,
handle that.
And the thing is like, you can ask Gene and Paul, but that's just gonna piss them off, and it's gonna piss you off too. Because I thought about during the Dayton sound check, I'm 6 feet from Paul.
So hey,
where's my Kiss 2020 Goodbye? But that's gonna make him mad. That's gonna make me look, and all the fans are gonna be like, oh, a part of me wanted to, because I'm like, this is my only chance to be like, hey, I have money invested in this, and it was your name on it, and you
they
promised
know that
me
it's a
something.
problem. They're just probably
The fact that Gene and Paul are being very silent, and Doc McGee, I know he was interviewed on somebody's podcast about it and said, we're looking into it. We're in negotiations. I'm like,
I got word.
It's been 2 years, TikTok.
I got word that Doc was quote unquote looking into the matter.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
they're looking into
enough.
it. They're in negotiations.
I didn't even pay money, and it's not good enough for me.
Well, I did, and
You did pay money, and
I paid for the drum head, the drumsticks, the poster, the DVD, Blu-ray, whatever, the laminate, the whatever else that came with the poster, everything else that came with. I paid for.
Yeah.
And haven't seen
plenty of other people. A lot of people paid for a lot. And
I think and that's one of those things too that makes people kind of want to not buy things anymore.
Can't blame them.
I can't blame them either. I don't blame anybody.
That's not a small thing, To not even get it's one thing not to get the product that you paid for.
To not get the product, to not get a refund, and for no band statement. For
it's crossing the line.
There's been no post saying,
we're sorry,
dear fans. We apologize for the lack of communication between you and this product. We understand that you are disappointed, unfortunately, due to external circumstances. I mean, I know that there'd be tons of blowback, and there'd be like screenshots and people like Ultimate Classic Rock, Blabbermouth. I think that's why Kiss is not saying anything about it.
Yeah, but it's even worse because sweeping it under the rug.
Well, I know, but we're going to be the ones, Kiss's fans will be the ones that forgive them, even though we're pissed. We're the ones that will forgive them first before Blabbermouth, Ultimate Classic Rock, and all the non-Kiss fans that comment on those posts.
Kiss is greedy. They're just wanting everyone's money.
And how many YouTubes videos are going to pop up about Kiss? Kiss robbing their fans. Da 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 da.
And there's good reason to be afraid of that, but it just still lacks integrity for them not to own up to it, because that's a consequence they just have to be willing to. Yeah,
if I was releasing something to somebody, I'd be sweating bullets, being like, there's people out there that are not getting their stuff, and with my name on it, with my music, and it's like, of course I'm not in Kiss, so I wouldn't be like, Kiss, they're fine, they do whatever they want, but like if it was me and I was doing it, like, I'd be like sweating, being
Well,
like, dude, this is not right.
To draw a strange analogy, and this is like way far removed from that, but it still holds up. I used to work in catering with food, and if someone didn't get what they ordered or something was left out, you would overcompensate.
Overcompensate.
For the good of the business. And
Yes.
that always worked because it's all about, the only thing you have to worry about is making the customer
It's customer
happy.
satisfaction.
Now, if they called and said, hey, I didn't get my salad for 45 people, and, calling the restaurant that I'm, responsible for, the catering business I was working for.
Yeah.
And if we just ignored all their calls, didn't acknowledge it, didn't give them their food, and did not give them their money back, well, they wouldn't ever shop with us again.
No.
They'd probably hate us, and they would have good reason to.
No, and they leave a bad review. And,
They leave a
and
bad
everybody
review.
knows that one bad review takes probably 40 good reviews to undo. It takes 40 good reviews to undo a one bad review. And one bad review, is detrimental. Anyway.
Yeah, I hate to end on a negative note, but it is a problem,
No.
and someone should be figuring that out.
Yeah. All right, well, I think we'll wrap it up there. Yeah, not to end on a negative note because that was just a last-minute thing. Because the truth is, with the Creatures Boss set off the soundboard, there's still some cool stuff to look forward to. I think the next episode might be off the soundboard review. We'll see what happens. But it is coming out next week, so very excited about that. Hopefully everybody out there is doing well. We really appreciate you joining us. And if you are joining us, leave your comments on what you think about the Creatures box set. Was the price increase too much for you? Was it a deal breaker? Are you still going to get it? What are you looking forward to? Off the soundboard, same thing. So let us know what you guys think. Next episode, we'll look at some of you guys' comments, and we'll do it to it. So thank you for joining us on episode 32, the real 32 of Kiss Army Things. Like and subscribe. My name is Xander.
My name's Jeb.
Take care, everybody.